There's actually several ways that you can update your remote player. So in this video tutorial, we're going to show you the different ways that you can actually take changes from the studio and apply them to each individual remote signage player. So the easiest way to update all your remote players is through the save dialog. If I'll switch over here right now to stations, you'll see that I have 3 stations that are currently on. And if I go and back to screens and make a change, you can make any change to the presentation and click on File Save, you'll have this dialog right here with Restart Station with Changes. And if you click on Save, every single station in your network, every single player that's installed somewhere out there in the field will go ahead and reboot with the latest changes from your presentation. So if I go ahead and click on Save and switch back to stations, you'll see that all my stations are now rebooting. So using the save dialog is efficient if you have a small network, but if you have a large deployment, it can be quite hard to manage all your players if you're going to update every single one of them with the save dialog. So what we can do is, let's go ahead and switch back to stations. We'll make a change, click on save, and this time we'll make sure that this checkbox is actually checked off, so we're not updating the players yet. So we are saving the configuration of the server, but we're not updating each player. Go ahead and click on save, switch back to stations, and you see that they're still playing and they're not rebooting because again this checkbox was deselected. So now what I can do is, if I wanted to apply the changes only to a specific player, I can select it and then select any of these options right here to update the player with the latest changes with this button right here, to stop the player, to play. What I can also do is I can hold down the control key on Windows and select multiple players, and then if I want to, I can again click on this button to apply all the changes that are currently saved on the server to this specific player that are selected. Another option is to hold down the shift key on Windows, and then with the left mouse you can actually select a series of continuous players, or again hold down the control key to deselect or select specific players. So really quite flexible, you can select only the players that you want. And once you've selected these players, again you can click on any of these buttons, including this one right here, to update the signage player with changes or to check for a new software release. All these buttons will apply to every single player that's currently selected. One thing that a lot of users are not aware of is that if I go and make a change to the presentation, let's say I take this resource and move it and extend it, and I go over here back to stations and select a particular station and select this update signage player with changes, even if I click on yes, the change that I just made to the campaign is not going to be reflected on this player because I never saved the changes. So you need to remember that anytime you change something in the Signage Studio, you always have to click on File, Save, to save your changes to the server, and only after you save these changes you can actually go select a particular machine, and once you select it you can click on this update signage player with changes. Now this player will receive these changes that we made to the campaign because we first saved them to the server. So that's just something to be aware of. Now of course with the save dialog, as we showed you earlier, if you have the checkbox enabled, it will go ahead and apply to every single machine. So it really does two things in once. It saves the changes and it applies the changes to the players. But since we have this as checked off, then you have to first save the changes and then individually select the machines you want to update. And again, this is only if you have the checkbox checked off through the save dialog. Another way to update the players is to have a set time every day or every night where the player or the PC itself will go ahead and reboot, and when they reboot and come back online, they'll go ahead and contact the server and see if there's new changes. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and select this London Bakery, and you see that right now by default the reboot everyday property is set to off. So if we set this to player, and right now it's 12 o'clock, so let's go ahead and set to 11 o'clock at night. So what's going to happen every night at 11:30, this player, the signage player, is going to reboot, and as soon as it comes back online, it's going to contact the server, and if there's new changes, these changes will apply. So these changes could be a new campaign that you have assigned, or new timeline resources, or anything that you change in the presentation. These will get applied to the signage player every night at 11:30. And you also have the option to reboot the whole station. So this will actually reboot the complete PC every night at 11:30, and again when the PC comes back on, it'll contact the server. If there's new changes, these changes will apply. Another way to update the players is to select a player. Actually, go ahead and hold on the control key and select a couple of players and click on this play right here. And now I'm prompted with this dialog, and over here I again have this option to update station with changes. So if this is checked off, it's simply going to instruct all the players that I've selected to start playing. However, if it's checked on, it will actually tell each player to go ahead and contact the server and see if there's new changes before it starts playing. So this is another way that you can have the player actually go out and check to see if there's a new software presentation that it needs to download before it actually starts playing back your presentation. And notice that there's this save changes to server here as well, but it's checked off. The reason why it's currently not even available is because there's no new changes. We didn't make any changes to the presentation. So let's go ahead and try this out. We'll go ahead and cancel out, go back to the campaign. We'll just go ahead and make a change, just any change whatsoever. Go back to the stations, again select the same two machines and click on play one more time. And notice that now we do have the option to save the change to the server first, because the studio is smart enough to see that we've made some work, so we probably want to save this work so that particular change, that particular work that we've done can actually be reflected on each Sonage player that we've selected. So we'll go ahead and click on play, and you'll see now that each player that I've selected is going to reboot with these changes, and it's of course going to pick up the latest changes that I've made because I've selected to save them first to the server. Now another way you can update the Sonage player is actually by physically closing it. So let's go ahead and minimize this and bring up the Sonage player, and if I click on this X right here to just close the Sonage player, as soon as the Sonage player will come back on, it will actually again contact the server and stream down the latest changes. Now if for some reason the internet is not available, the player will go ahead and load the cached content, but if the internet is available, it will contact the server and stream down the latest changes. So as you can see, there's different ways that you can update your remote players. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial, and please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.